Good afternoon. Um, we just want to spend a couple moments today uh, to talk through some of the issues that we face. One, I remain grateful and energized to lead the Chicago Bears. When I started this journey 20 months ago, I knew there would be days like this that would be challenging. That's part of building a world-class franchise. Well, one good thing about challenging times, it allows people around you, it allows each one of us to become strong and stronger, to become committed, to become dedicated, to become vibrant, to really understand what it means when we talk about having character and integrity. My goal still remains is to make sure we build an organization that can have continued success both on and off the field. Now is that time. Now is the opportunity. We have some great attributes on our side. We have the greatest fans in the National Football League. I would argue we have the greatest fans in all of professional sports. And I made it clear in my introductory press conference, we will build a champion on the field. We'll build a champion in the community. We'll build a world-class stadium. Nothing has changed. We are not going to waver from that. So I want to address head on a couple of the events from last Friday. It's been about 72 hours. One, the decision was made to terminate the employment of head coach Matt Eberflus. These are not easy decisions. These individuals have worked hard. Coach Eberflus worked hard. They have families. We understand that. And we tried to do everything in a professional manner. But that decision was made on Friday. That was the first thing. The second thing, we made the decision and determination to promote Thomas Brown to interim head football coach of the Chicago Bears. It was the right time to make that decision. Thomas is incredibly bright. He's hardworking. He's grown up around the game. He's talented. He has great leadership capabilities. He's decisive and he's clear. And I'm excited to watch him lead our football team. And I know Ryan will discuss both of these items further. The next item I want to make sure we're clear about is Ryan Poles is the general manager of the Chicago Bears, and he will remain the general manager of the Chicago Bears. Ryan is young, he's talented, he's bright, he's hardworking. He has done everything in his power on a daily basis to bring a winner to Chicago. And I'm confident in Ryan. My faith remains strong in Ryan. And as leader of our football operations department and as our general manager, Ryan will serve as the point person on our coach for our upcoming search for a permanent head football coach. Now, we will work in tandem. We will work closely. We will work together on a daily basis to make sure that we bring the best person to the Chicago Bears as our permanent head football coach. You have our word on that. It will be an exhaustive search. It will be organized. It will be diligent. We will do it the right way. And one of the things that we have to keep in mind, there are certain policies and procedures that are set forth by the National Football League, and we need to follow those, and we will follow those. But when you look at the assets of the Chicago Bears, why am I so excited about this opportunity to work with Ryan about finding our permanent head football coach here is, number one, we have the greatest fans that I talked about earlier. They are passionate. I appreciate and embrace that passion. Secondly, is that we have a great tradition of the Chicago Bears. It is really special in all of sports. We're going to have plenty of salary cap space. We have a young, talented roster. We have strong draft capital in the upcoming draft. And we have a quarterback in Caleb Williams who's shown he is very special, and in the right environment, he can become even more special than he already has shown. The other thing that I'm grateful for is we have full support of the McCaskey family, who has provided us with the resources not only during the search, but also once our new head coach is here, to build an environment that will be a championship environment. And that's really important. So we're grateful for that. And the last item, and we'll continually make progress on them, is that we have an opportunity to build a world-class stadium. So when you look at all of these elements as we sit here today, we are in a unique situation. This will be the most coveted job in the National Football League this year. And Ryan and I need to work hand in hand together to make sure we bring that to life, not only from a head coach standpoint, but also from an entire staff standpoint. And people will ask, what are we looking for in a head coach? We need an individual who has extremely high standards, who is tough, who is demanding, who's bright, who has attention to detail, who seeks and will win championships, who creates an environment of accountability, who's creative, who's intelligent, who's a decisive decision maker, and who will represent the city of Chicago, all of our fans, this franchise in a manner that is well deserved. The other thing is that I found in my years in the National Football League that good players want to become great, and great players want to become legendary. And the only way you make a good player great or a great player legendary is to create that environment of accountability and set standards that are extreme and demanding. And we will find that person to be able to lead our franchise. But we have to keep in mind that we have 5 regular season games left to play. One this weekend at San Francisco. We're going to do everything we possibly can, from ownership to Ryan, myself, to the coaches, to staff, to our players, to Coach Thomas Brown, that we support each other. We support our players, we could support all of our coaches, and especially Coach Brown, to allow us to perform at the highest level. I am confident, I'm energized, I'm excited about this unique opportunity. We will get this right. And we'll be sitting up here in the future, at some point in time, and we'll look back onto this day and say this was the day that we start pointing in the right direction to build the franchise that all of us know that we want to build. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our general manager, Ryan Poles, for some introductory comments, and then we're going to open the floor up for some questions. But again, we appreciate you all being here, and we hope you had a happy Thanksgiving with your family.
All right. So first, I just want to thank Kevin and George for their support and their alignment. As we all know, situations like these are very difficult. When you build relationships with someone over a period of time, to let them go is tough. But I want to thank Coach Eberflus for his efforts and his dedication while he was here. But at the end of the day, we just came up short too many times. We had to make a change. As I reflect back, 2 years ago, I was proud of the progress that we made from year 1 to year 2, but disappointed we weren't able to stay on that track in year 3. In terms of Thomas Brown, I'm excited for him. We love his direct leadership, his command, and his confidence. And I believe he has the traits to lead not only our team, but as well as our offense. I think the key thing to remember is it's not just him on the offensive side of the ball. There's some guys like Chris Beatty who have been very impactful over the last few weeks as we've seen our offense, especially our pass game, continue to grow. So he'll lean on the people around him to continue to let our offense elevate, and Thomas can continue to lead our football team as the head coach. I'm really excited about these next 5 weeks and the opportunity that we have. But I do think it's critical that we focus on San Francisco for the remainder of this week as we get prepared and get our football team prepared. And I look forward to circling back in the near future to talk about the search as we put those plans together. So I'll open up to questions.
Ryan, what did you believe you had saw during the hiring process of Coach Eberflus that you just didn't see consistently enough throughout his tenure?
Yeah, when you look at the end of the game situations, just some of the detailing to finish in those moments. We all know a lot of these games come down to those critical spots that we weren't able to get over the hump.
Kevin, in your role evaluating and overseeing Ryan, how do you assess his culpability in the decision to retain Matt after last season and oversee a coordinator search that ultimately failed pretty miserably?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I have prided myself on in my entire career is there's, a couple different types of people. There are people who can find fault, and there's the people who can find fault and then come up with solutions. And one of the things I appreciate working with Ryan is that he's one of the people that will raise his hand and say, hey, this is something that we could have done better, but here's some solutions. And we're committed to doing that. So I really want to spend our time, and this is not shirking any responsibility, but there are only so much energy coefficients that we have. As Ryan said, these next 5 to 6 weeks are critical. And you hate saying the decisions are going to set the trajectory of the franchise over the next 10 to 15 to 20 years. This is one that will. And so it is critically important that we put all of our energy into making sure that we exhaust this search, get the right person here, build this community. And again, we've been here before. I've done this before, and I'm grateful for ownership to say, go do it the right way and build this support system. And it's not only with the head coach, it's the staff, which is critically important. And it's the players, it's all of us coming together. So I look at today as a first day for us to be able to go together. Let's put the past in the past. Let's start today and go forward and work together, because I don't want to burn any energy on what has happened in the past. We can learn from it. We all know, that we can do better, and we will do better.
Kevin, on Friday morning,
Yes.
Your decision to fire him came after Matt came out and spoke to the media. Are you aware of the way that was perceived around the league, and why do it that way if it would come with that kind of blowback?
Yeah, because I can tell you this, when Coach Eberflus had his press conference, we had not made a final decision. And I think you know me, I think you know Ryan, I think you know Georgia McCaskey, and I think you know the McCaskey family. If one thing we stand for is family and integrity and doing it the right way. In retrospect, could we have done it better? Absolutely. And I'll be the first one to raise my hand, yes. But during his press conference and even a couple hours later, we had not reached a decision. But on the flip side of it, something that was important to us is that once we reached the decision, we wanted to make sure to talk with Matt about that so he could have the respect to be able to call his family. And I'll say this, one thing that happened, this is the first time, and it happens around the league a lot, where a head coach will find out he's terminated, and he finds out before he's told from the organization, and that's something that we promised that we weren't going to do. So in retrospect, could we have done better? Yes. But we were trying to be respectful, and we did not know our decision when he started his press
Were
conference.
there dissenting voices on that? Was there debates on whether or not the head coach should go?
We always have debates, but again, from Ryan, him making the decision and talking with myself and George, debate is good. And I don't want to call it any dissenting voices, but we had discussion. This was not a 5-minute conversation. I mean, when you're talking about decisions that you've made about not only individuals' lives and careers, but we were very thoughtful. And the other thing that was really important is the fact that we not only played in Detroit, that's Thanksgiving Day. And I have just learned over my career that it's important to try to at least get a good night's sleep, which I don't think any of us did Thursday night, but at least try to think clear and be respectful to make better decisions. And I think once we had an opportunity to discuss this at length, we felt that Friday was the right time to do it.
And
Kevin, who will have final
move?
say over the head coaching hire?
One of the things, again, we're focused on is final say was doing what's right for the best interests of the Chicago Bears. So I'm confident. I've never been concerned about, final say or whatever. Ryan, he's general manager. He leads our football operation. He'll serve as the point person. We will be in contact, just like we were over the last 72 hours, in contact hours a day. We will spend multiple hours a day until we make this hire. So from a final say standpoint, I mean, ultimately he's the general manager, but I think in working together, it'll be very clear who's the right person for the Chicago Bears.
So what if
So
you guys
Kevin-
have
so
dissenting
Kevin-
voices?
so-
What if you guys have dissenting opinions when it comes down to two people who, someone's gotta make that call?
We'll work that out. Yes, and again, Ryan he's the general manager. He's head of football operations, and so he will have the final say if it ever got to that point, but I'm confident that we will work through it because the good thing about it, so long as we keep the center of our decisions, what's in the best interest of the Chicago Bears, our players, as we go forward, it will become clear as far as who is the person should lead this franchise from a football standpoint, from a coaching standpoint.
If Thomas Brown isn't the long-term choice, is there any concern about Caleb then having his third play caller before he starts his second year?
I think we've seen his growth through some of the situations we've had so far. We always got to keep that in mind, and we're going to make sure, again, when we go back to what's best for the Bears, his development is critical. So we need to make sure that there's alignment in that space so he can continue to get better.
Right, we know that
Will he have input?
I don't know about specific input, but it's got to be a major part of an interview process is making sure that there's a plan for a young quarterback in this league.
Right, we know the frustration we know the frustration that was in that locker room after the game Thursday. How much did that weigh on you as you made this decision, the way that the season has spiraled on you and the way that the players were reacting to their head coach?
Yeah, it's important to always have the pulse of the locker room and understand what's going on. Because, the one thing that I can say is our players and our team, they've played extremely hard through adverse situations. You don't want a situation where that starts to crack and you don't see the same effort and the same energy. So we're always being aware of the environment and taking that into consideration.
Ryan, why not make the move sooner on Matt? You had 2 years body of work. There were player comments about coaching in general going back to September. The results through the New England game or the Arizona game could have been justification. Why not do it sooner? And do you think if you had made a change sooner, maybe this season could have been saved?
Yeah, it's hard to go back and figure out if everything would have been different. But I want to make sure that we see a process through and not make a split decision. Just like we talked about from after Thursday, I think there's times where you got to reflect back, see what maybe some of the issues are. Is there a system problem? And is it repetitive enough to make a move at that time? I felt like working through each of those weeks, we saw a little spurt, in the 3-win streak that we had there. And then we started going down this recent path where things started getting a little bit more repetitive. And that's when eventually we got together and had that conversation.
I know you value listening to your locker room. What did you see in the locker room at Ford Field Thursday, and what did that tell you about what was necessary?
Yeah, we were all frustrated. Anytime you get right to a situation like that where you can't finish a game with a win, and it had been a few weeks there, I think everyone was frustrated. I saw frustration.
Ryan, in the upcoming search, how will you address apprehension from candidates who are worried about having a mismatched timeline with you and wondering about your long-term job security before they sign up to come and be part of this organization?
Yeah, I think just spending time with both of us, you'll understand that we prioritize our people that work here, and going through that situation, we can talk through that. We're open to talk through that. And I think if you just ask around in this building and how we treat people, that shouldn't be an issue at all.
This will be a very different search than you conducted the last time. What are your visions for a healthy process to make sure that you guys land on the right decision?
I think it starts with the foundation and making sure we identify what we want to come in here and help us win championships. And then casting a wide net and taking as much time as we need to find the best candidate.
Hey Ryan,
Trace,
are you guys gonna use either a consultant or a committee in your hiring, or is it just gonna be the two of you?
We haven't made that decision, right now. So I think we're going to lean on both of us and our entire organization and everyone in kind of that think tank and make sure that we make the best decision.
Ryan, to Dan's question, what did you learn about yourself and the evaluation process in hiring Matt that will help you avoid making that mistake again?
Yeah, I've learned a lot over the last few years. I think the most critical thing is I know from the roster that we have right now exactly what this team needs because of the core group that we have here. Before that wasn't really the case of understanding who was going to be here. It was a really tough situation to walk into. So knowing exactly the core of our team and what traits are going to help get that team to be a championship caliber roster.
Ryan, where do you feel like it went wrong in the selection of Shane Waldron?
You know, it's with Shane. You know, obviously there was some, you know, communication that probably didn't happen as clean as it needed to be, and we just got off to a tough start. It's always difficult when you have a young quarterback. You know, we built this to have support around Caleb. But when you have that blend of a young rookie quarterback with experienced players, to make that all work, it's a difficult task. And I think there was a little bit of struggle just getting that going.
Thanks, guys.
Ryan,
Thank you.